Namaste.
Welcome to you to the land of Kalinga, land of Odisha, land of Utkal, land of Udra. You have come to the smart city number 1 of India. We have so many smart cities in the country, and Bhubaneswar is considered as the smart city number 1 of the country. We welcome you, Mr. Erik, to this land of Kalinga, land of Utkal, land of Udra, and land of art and culture. We salute you, we pranam you, we namaskar you for your great contribution to science and technology, particularly to the field of museums. In the 2014, your name and fame spread throughout the world, and you became the chairman of World Museum Forum. And that forum was constituted in your country, Belgium, and you took a pivotal role, and that is your mastermind, your brainchild, and you make it a success, grand success globally. The museum movement in the world, you are the leader, and you have visited practically all museums in the world. Your contributions to the field of museums, particularly science and technology museums, are praiseworthy. We, members of Kalinga Foundation Trust, myself, Dr. Chittaranjan Mishra, a trustee of Kalinga Foundation Trust, on behalf of Kalinga Foundation Trust, welcome you to the land of Kalinga, and we salute you, we pranam you. I have a small gift to present you, and I am happy you will be kind enough to receive it. I have a flower bouquet for you, and I hope you will gladly accept it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
दर्शक बंधु, आम आसी पहुँचीचु मिस्टर एरिक जैक्वेमन के पाखरे। आपण जाने निश्चित भाव खुशी हेबे, मिस्टर एरिक जैक्वेमन होछंती पृथ्वीर सर्वश्रेष्ठ वैज्ञानिक जे कि विज्ञान को लोकप्रिय करिया पाए 2017 मसीह यूनेस्को कलिंग पुरस्कार रे भूषित होइछंती। यूनेस्को पेरिस रो डायरेक्टर जनरल मिसेस इरिना बोकोभा 2017 मसीहा नवंबर मास 7 तारिख रे जोर्डान रे यूनेस्को कलिंग पुरस्कार रे श्रीयुक्त एरिक जैक्वेलिन को भूषित करछंती। दर्शक बंधु, यूनेस्को कलिंग पुरस्कार होउची समग्र विश्वर सर्वश्रेष्ठ पुरस्कार in the field of science and technology communication, science and technology popularization, in the field of science and technology outreach program. We are very much glad, we are extremely happy to receive Mr. Erik Jacquemyn and Mrs. Jacquemyn, to whom we will be meeting after some time. He is with us today. And this land of Kalinga has become extremely happy, delighted to welcome you, to receive you, to listen from you, your field of activities, your experiences, your journey in the field of science and technology, and especially in the field of museum movement, global museum movement. We will be very much delighted. The people of Odisha are looking at you, to learn from you, to welcome you, to acknowledge you, to appreciate your work in the field of science and technology movement, especially the museum movement in the state. Yesterday, our Honorable Minister, Sri Ashok Chandra Panda, was with us in the press conference we had in Hotel Trident on 25th November 2019. He very much offered you his assistances. You also very much offered you your assistances and cooperation to Government of Odisha for building up various science and technology centers. We call it science museums or science centers. Another 10 new science centers are evolving in this state, are coming up in the state in a large way. More planetariums are coming up in this state. The state is a vibrant place in the field of science and technology communication. Government of India has a program on science and technology communication. They give a national award in the field of science and technology communication in 5 fields. And our organization, UNESCO KALINGA Prize, who has instituted UNESCO KALINGA Prize, Kalinga Foundation Trust, has been decorated with the highest award of the country in the field of science popularization in the year 2017. And I myself, Dr. Chittaranjan Mishra, received the highest award of the country in the field of science communication, in the field of writing, popular science writing, in newspapers, in magazines, in books, in doing television programs. I have been decorated with the highest award in the country in science communication for the field of population of science, especially in the field of print media and electronic media, including books and magazines. Thank you very much, Dr. Erik. We are extremely delighted. People of Odisha are extremely happy to receive you, to welcome you, to learn from you, to receive you. Your experiences, your journey, your footage, how you have arisen to such a position. Dr. Erik, please.
Thank you so much, and it is really a big honor to be in Kalinga land, to be in Odisha, and it is really, it's coming to the bottom of my heart, the warm hospitality which my wife and myself are enjoying right here. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience, and indeed, I think you are right when you say that this part of India is really, that this state is really one of the most important states when it comes to science and technology, and especially science popularization. And in fact, we need science popularization, because if there is no science popularization, there won't be enough scientists and researchers. And if we don't have researchers and scientists, then there is not enough innovation. And as you know, innovation is in fact the engine for prosperity and well-being. So everything starts with science popularization, and what you're doing is wonderful work. What I've been doing the 30 years of my career is just trying to bring science and technology closer to people by means of different things. And you were stating it right. Science museums and interactive science centers are one of the really important tools when it comes to science popularization. So I can only applaud that the government recently decided to set up 10 new science parks in Odisha, some new planetariums, because that will once again bring people in touch with science and technology, and it will open their eyes to the possibilities of science and technology. And in some of the young people who will be visiting, there will be a spark which is enlightened, and some of them will say, oh, this is, they will feel this is gonna be my career, this is something I will study, this is something I will do, and later on they will become a researcher, a scientist, and they will help moving Odisha further on the way to prosperity.
Very good, very good, very good.
And in fact, I myself, and you eloquently said, I visited lots of interactive science museums. I built some science centers. I have assisted people building them. I started even an academy for new science centers. And I promised to the government, both to the Chief Minister and the Minister of Science and Technology, that I will do my utmost best to assist them to set up these 10 new science centers, science parks, in a way that they will be successful from day one onwards, because I believe that this part of the world really needs it, and that the people right here deserve that these 10 science parks will really have a big impact on the community.
Very good. We can keep it here. No, okay. Mr. Erik, you are an electromechanical engineer from University of Leuven. From a mechanical engineering, from a technology, being a technocrat, being a technologist, how you offered yourself to the field of public outreach of science? How it attracted you from your childhood, or you had a passion for science communication in spite of being an engineer? How science communication, science popularization, outreach of science attracted you? What is the story behind it?
In fact, it is quite simple.
Yes.
Since I was really very young, I remember 8 years, 9 years, something, I was already doing some, working with some electrical circuits and that sort of stuff. and later on, and that was on batteries, and later on I worked with real current 240 volts, and once in a while I touched the 240 volts. So I did lots of experiments before even thinking of becoming an engineer. And so I indeed, as you say, I studied engineering, but deep in myself I always felt that it was a pity that people would not understand how science works, and that they would not know what the basic principles and the basic phenomena of science are. So after leaving the university, I had the chance of working with the Prime Minister of Flanders, the northern region of Belgium. I was one of his private advisors. And in that time, now we're mid of the 80s of last century, at that time we set up a first technology awareness campaign. Mm-hmm. You could say science popularization before the world even existed. And so I started that campaign and I never came out of it. It became my life, and I'm still enjoying it. And I got the KALINGA award. I'm the youngest KALINGA award winner. I was 59 when I got it. And I really look at it as a lifetime achievement award. But I'm still too young to stop my professional life, so I will go on and on because it is my passion. I have to admit that in fact I never worked a single day in my life because I'm just enjoying my passion and doing whatever to make science more popular, and if science and technology is here and the lay people are here, then we as science popularizers, myself, you and lots of our colleagues, we have the duty, it is our mission to bring these two together, or to make a bridge and to bridge that gap in between them. So that's the mission of my professional life, which I enjoy, and which I have had the pleasure during years and years to work with lots of motivated and passionate people and professional people to invent lots of new initiatives, projects and whatever. Starting the first science center in Belgium, for instance. So it is my professional life, it is my passion, and I think I will be doing it as long as I can, because it is part of my life. I can't think about my life without doing these type of things. And so in this way, the KALINGA Award is really a recognition of the passion which I'm spreading out.
Very good. Thank you very much. In everybody's life, you see there is a turning point. For every successful person in life, if you analyze their career, analyze their life spectrum, somewhere something, there is a turning point in life. Being a professional scientist, professional engineer, you become a passionate person, you run after science, science become your mission, science become your philosophy, and science become the motto of your life. So you become a passionate person, which incident, which situation, which surroundings, which becomes the turning point of life to transform your life from a mechanical engineer to a science population of international stature. I want to know, our people, general public wants to know, what was the turning point, what was the event which culminated you to this position?
I think the turning point from graduating as an electromechanical engineer to the science popularization, I think the turning point was the day when I started working with the Prime Minister, because I was working in the field of biomedical engineering, and the government, and I think it is right, wanted to put emphasis on technology which was at the disposal and which was helping the people. And so when I joined the private office of the Prime Minister, I thought I could contribute to indeed prove, so to say, that technology really could have a human face and could contribute to the human, so that technology can contribute to the human beings and to our personal life. And it was because the government at that time wanted to inform the citizens about technology being at the disposal, being at service of people. It was at that moment, and they asked me, can you do something about it? And so I stopped developing new scientific discoveries, but I moved to bringing science and technology closer to people, because I truly believed in that. So from designing projects, designing products, designing new inventions, and developing them as technology for the human being, I moved to another level. I moved to the level where I brought science as a whole to the human being.
Beautiful things. You wanted to bring science and technology closer to people. In India, we have a perception, maybe in the global platform also, science belongs to the student of science, science belongs to the teacher of science, science belongs to the scientist who is working in the laboratory, in the four walls of the laboratory. Science is confined only to the students, to the teachers, to the researchers, and maybe to the industrial situations. Science is confined within these peripheries. Science is living within these peripheries. This is a boundary, but science is boundaryless. Science is countryless. Science is universal. So we have to bring science out of the four glass walls of the laboratory to the common man, as rightly told. Bringing science and technology closer to people was your mission. And on that mission, you are marching ahead since your college and school days. But what we feel today, even today, the global platform, also in India, science is confined only to the students of science, teachers of science, researchers of science, speakers of science, and industries. Science and technology in the industry. It has to come out of this boundary to the common man. A man working on the road has every right to know what a scientist is doing inside the four walls of a laboratory. Because he is a taxpayer, he is paying the tax. And on their tax, I am getting the salary because I am a scientist, I am an industrial worker. So every citizen, normal citizen, common man, common citizen, man working on the road has every right to know what a scientist is doing, what a technologist is doing, what an industrial man is doing inside the four walls of the working sphere. So we, the people working in the scientific community, we call it science communicators, throughout the world, we must work to bring science out of these boundaries. Science must be boundaryless. But today, science is confined within a boundary. You must agree with me. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I can imagine that a lot of people think indeed that science is something which is only for researchers, scientists, universities, students. And that's why the idea of the ivory tower exists.
We call it ivory tower research.
Yeah.
We call it ivory tower research.
Now, science is everywhere.
Yes.
And also the person who is working in the street, indeed he has the right to know how what the scientist is doing and how the taxpayers' money is being used.
Yes.
But the person in the road would not be able to do his work without the technology which comes out of scientific discoveries. So it is important that people understand that science is everywhere. And luckily there is science, because if there wouldn't be science, then we wouldn't have this camera who is recording us. And if there wouldn't be science, part of our body now would be naked because some of the things we are of the clothes have been it has been possible.
It is a product of
It's
science. It is a product
yeah.
of science.
So and that's something we need to make clear to people, that science is everywhere, in your kitchen, in your household, on the street, in the restaurant, in the shop, wherever. And so I also believe that science is a public good, that science is, as you say, boundaryless. The International Association of Scientists says science is a public good. You could look at science as, for instance, as air and water and global knowledge. And it is at the disposal of everybody without any boundary, without any difference in race or religion, or it is at the disposal of everybody in the world, but also for future generations. So science as a public good is one thing. Science is everywhere that's another thing. And so I truly believe that if we want to popularize science in the right way, then science popularization also needs to be everywhere.
Some people say, some people, not most of the people, some people say, people those who have failed in scientific research, people those who have failed in scientific research, excels in scientific research, they look another outlet. That outlet is science communication. People say. Even people in the scientific fraternity, they are of the opinion also, since somebody has failed in scientific research, to showcase himself in the scientific research, he has opted another field known as science communication. So this is a excuse for the man, for the person who has failed in scientific research. He has opted another pathway, that is science communication. Some people say, what is your opinion?
In fact, every researcher, every scientist has, in my opinion, has the obligation not only to do research and to do his scientific work, but also have the obligation in communicating science. And communicating science as a scientist is not always easy, because sometimes these people are really experts in a small field somewhere in a niche, and they use words you and I perhaps even don't understand. And so it's important that they can explain what they are doing, and that they can speak to somebody at the level of the person. And I always say that if a scientist can explain it to his grandmother, and his grandmother understands, then it's okay.
Okay. Do you think science communication can only be done by a scientist?
No.
Answer is no. Answer is no. It can be done by a non-scientist also.
Yes.
By like a writer, like a different professions. The people in different professions, they can opt for this work. It is not the prelude of a scientist only. Only science communication will be done by a scientist. No. Anybody in any disciplines of life, they can go for this job. Only thing, concept of science must be clear. Whether he is a scientist, or an engineer, or a writer, or a man of literature, or a historian, or a philosopher, anybody can do the job of a science communication, provided his perception of science and technology is clear and clarity.
Yeah,
So it is not the business of only scientist. Science communication, science population is not only the business of a scientist. People in any profession can opt for science communication. I think we agree with you.
Yeah.
That is why, because you see, journalists, filmmakers, they make science and technology films. Journalists, they are working on scientists. Writers, they are working on science and technology. Good speaker, who communicates to the public speaker on science. So there are various platforms, various ways and means for communicating science to the masses. So science must reach masses. This is a conviction, and it is established conviction. And you are happy to know, in our country, India, in our Constitution of India, scientific temper, these two words are written in our Constitution. And we are the only country whose Constitution of India has emblemed science communication. And when Pandit Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, during his regime, when the Constitution was framed, this scientific temper was there, inscribed. So from the very beginning, India has opted for science as well as scientific research and science communication. Science teaching, scientific research and science communication. They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, of course.
So education, research and communication, of course, industry. Because that is the translation of science into the practical, the applied science.
Yeah.
We call it industry. So all industrial fraternity, research fraternity, teaching fraternity, science communicator fraternity, they should all work in hand. So that things will move. And when the point is coming, you know Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. During his time, India took a greater step in the field of science and technology. During his time, people wanted to know from him. Because he set up Indian Council of Medical Research, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, so many research institutes, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Bhabha Physics Institute in Calcutta, so many research institutes, so many universities were set up during the regime of Pandit Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. But people at that time complained to him, India is a poor country, we have lots of poverty, we do not provide roads to the people, we do not have clothes to wear, we don't have good food, drinking water. First, let us solve this problem, then go for science and technology. But one gentleman helped Pandit Nehru to answer this question. He is the founder of CSIR, Council of Scientific and Innovation, founder. And Bhatnagar, Mr. Dr. Bhatnagar, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar. He is the man who supported Nehru. No, India must fight hunger, India must fight for food, India must fight its problems of roti, kapda or makan. We call it roti, kapda means this kapda and makan means house. These three essential things are required for a man. Okay, our country India will continuously do these three works, providing roti, kapda and makan to the common man. But in addition to that, providing water, providing road, providing clothes, providing education, providing health. Okay, in addition to that, we must also strive for scientific excellence. No, first complete this, then no. It will also go parallelly hand in hand. So we must provide water, provide health care, also we must go for scientific research and innovation. That is why Defense Research Development Organization, DRDO, Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, they have a tremendous success in the global arena. ISRO is number one in the global arena. Defense Research Development Organization, global one. You know our Prime Minister, APJ Abdul Kalam, but a great space scientist. He's a great spaceman, space scientist. He's the only scientist to become the President of India. And we have all great regards. He told once, dream, dream and dream. Transform your dream into thoughts, transform your thoughts into action. He told three things, dream, thoughts and actions. You must be a dreamer par excellence. Transform your dream into thoughts, transform your thoughts into action. Dream, thoughts and action. What is your opinion?
I think that's a wonderful way of saying things, because it is only by dreaming and by challenging yourself and challenging other people that you can really move forward. It is about setting a goal, having a vision, thinking about it, and further developing it and give it an action. And it makes me think of what John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States, said in the beginning of the 60s of last century. We will put a man on the moon before the end of the decade. It was a dream. And a lot of people must have thought, this is not possible. But they did it. And why did they do it? Because they had that Bacon standing there saying, okay, by the end of the century, by the end of the decade, we need this to be done. And we work together and we share a dream and we really work hard and we think about it and we develop and we invent and finally we come to action. So I think this is a good way of putting things. dream, think, and act. That's
You must be a dreamer par excellence. Transform your dream into thoughts. Transform your thoughts into action. These three important components are essentially required in a man to develop a man, to build up a man,
yeah.
so that he will attain excellence. Mr. Erik, can you please explain stage by stage, step by step, your journey from the school days to the college days to the university days, and your journey till now, stage by stage, to our common man?
I hope the common man has a lot of time, because I can speak about that for hours, but
Yes.
I will
Okay.
abbreviate a little bit.
Okay.
When I was, as I remember, when I was something like 4 or 5 years old, I was repairing something at home, and our nanny said, "This guy one day will become an engineer." I was 4 years old. Later on, when I got my degree, I went to see her, and she was long retired. I went to see her and I showed her my certificate. And years later, I went back to her, and because my son graduated as an engineer too later on, and so I showed her the certificate of my son. Now, and when I was young, I was a child. Some children play with whatever. And I also played with balls and the normal stuff, and with cars, but I also played with electrical circuits and that sort of stuff. So in the beginning, I was already a little bit enthusiastic about technical stuff and so on. And so then I was studying engineer, and I went to the University of Leuven, the oldest university in Belgium. And it was the Department of Electromechanical Engineering, Department of Electricity, and the field of microelectronics. So that was the end of the 70s, the beginning of the 80s. And I was specializing myself in microelectronics for biomedical applications. I did some research after having graduated from the university. I did my research in cooperation with the university hospital, developing intelligent, for instance, one of the things I did was in developing an intelligent pacemaker, which would normally would not work, would not assist when the heart would give a good pulse rate. And if the pulse rate would go up and becoming irregular, the pacemaker would take over and would give the right pulse at the right pace and so on. And then one day I was asked by the private office of the Minister-President, the Prime Minister of the Flanders region in the north of Belgium, to join his office as an advisor. And that, in those days, we now speak about 85 of last century. The government of Flanders has had plans to set up a global awareness campaign towards new technologies, and to think about and to make people aware of what technology can do for people. And so that's why they asked me, because I was in biomedical applications. And so I organized the first awareness campaign. I organized a huge science and technology popularization event, which was a sort of, you could look at this as a technology trade fair. It was called Flanders Technology International. And I remember that in the 89 edition, we it was 8 days, but in these 8 days we had 200,000 visitors who really were amazed by what they could see and what they could experience with regard to science and technology. And then from the end of the 80s onwards, together with my team, I started developing other initiatives such as science festivals, science weeks, science days, always thinking about who are we doing this project for, how can we reach these people? How can we reach that target group? I remember that one day we set up a special project for really small children, 3 to 7 years of age, and we developed puppet theater about science and scientific phenomena for these young kids. But we also made comic books. We had the science truck. Later on, I discovered that in Calcutta, when I was the first time in India in '99, they also had science fans. We didn't know it from each other, but both of us had science on wheels. And in the mid of the 90s, I could convince the Prime Minister of the government of Flanders to set up and to agree in setting up the first interactive science center in Belgium, which we developed in world record time. The decision was taken in 1996 and it opened the beginning of 2000, and it was a success from day one onwards. And one of the reasons of the success was the international cooperation with lots of colleagues all over the globe. And from that moment onwards, I was not only leading that science center, but also spreading my experience and sharing my expertise with other people around the globe who had the same mission as I have, bringing science and technology closer to people. So that's why I set up in 2004, I founded the Science Center Academy for New Science Centers, where lots of students passed by throughout the years and who now are having successful science centers all over the globe. And keep on developing and continue developing. I truly believe in international cooperation. That's also why I joined the board of the European Association for Science Engagement, the American Association, the World Organizations. I was in the board of directors, I was in executive committees, and so on and so on. I received the Roy Schaefer Leading Edge Award for leadership in the field of science centers in 2014. I organized the first Science Center World Summit in 2014, which was held in Belgium. And so in 2017, yes. I received the KALINGA Award, and since then I've been asked more than before by governments, by global institutions, by big companies to assist them with their policies on science popularization, which is something I gladly do. I'm happy to do that, and that's also the reason why I offered to the government of Odisha that I would help them with making and setting up the 10 new science parks in the near future.
Very good. Once Albert Einstein told, somebody asked Albert Einstein, in the school you failed in mathematics, in the school you are removed from the class by your lady teacher, you are not a good student, have you excelled in mathematics and invented E is equal to mc square? He replied, the hardship, the dedication, the contribution, the commitment, the struggle, the sweat, the tears that is coming from my eyes, if you place in one pot, and all over the world number of people are there, so many crores of people, you put there in one pot, I give guarantee, the weight of my pot containing my hardship, my struggle, my sweat, my tears will weigh more than this pot. That means I am a so passionate person. I am not a good student, but I am a passionate person. That is why God has given me that passion. So I am a passionate person, may not be a good student, may not be first in the classroom, but I am a passionate person. I can bear hardship, I can struggle throughout my life. I put my foot always forward. Suppose one foot is failure, another foot. Someday success may come. I don't retrieve my foot. I march on, one step forward. So this struggle, this perseverance, this passion, I am a passionate person, these qualities embodied in me made me this person. Even if I am not a good student, since I am a more passionate person, my journey, my struggle, my perseverance is my strength. How do you react?
Yeah, I think there are the three P's.
Yes.
The three P's, and the first is passion.
Yes.
Of course, brightness is here,
Yes.
but the passion is here.
Yes.
And you do what you do with the heart. And the more passion you have, the more successful you will be. But passion is not enough.
Yes.
So I come to the second P.
Yes. Yes.
And the second P is perseverance.
Yes.
Because sometimes things go wrong. And then you need the perseverance and you need the will to go on and try again. And when we talk about science, a lot of things go wrong before the final invention or the final result is there. So it's about perseverance and really continuing. And then the third thing is professionalism.
Yes.
That's the third P. Because if you're not a really professional person who really takes things at heart, then it's not going to work. So the three P's are there: the passion, perseverance, and professionalism. And without one, if one of the three P's is missing, there won't be a success.
Beautiful things, Mr. Erik. You need not be a first student in the classroom. You need not be a gold medalist in the classroom. But you must possess essential three characters in you. You must be a passionate person. You must have perseverance, and you must have professionalism within you. If you got hold of these three qualities in you, in one man containing these three qualities, even if he is not a good student, even if he is not a gold medalist in the classroom, but he can excel. Beautiful things. Thank you very much. Another point is coming to mind. You see, India is emerging. From a developing country, it is becoming a developed economy. It is the fifth largest economy in the world today. People say 19th century was the century of Europe, 20th century was the century of America, and this is 21st century is the century of Asia. The entire spotlight of development of the globe is now Asia-centric, China-centric, India-centric. We call it China-India or Chindia. Another point is coming to my mind. People of India, we have 130 crores of people. If you see, 65% population of my country, 65%, their age group is less than 35. So India is emerging as a young nation. Whereas in other countries of the world, people are aging, whereas my Indian people, youth power. So India's strength right now today, I have a strong youth power. 65% of my entire population from 130 crores is below 35 years age. This is a positive strength for India. Number two, as I told you, 19th century was century of Europe, 20th century was century of America. This 21st century, for the first time in the history of the world, has come to Asia. Entire global development is now Asia-centric. Entire globe is watching Asian nations. Entire people of the world are watching, day and night watching what one Asian is doing from morning till evening. Especially these two nations, one is China and second is India. Now the largest economy is now America. The second largest is an Asian nation, Japan. Third largest is China, and India today is above France. It is the fifth largest economy and evolving economy, and $5 trillion economy is going to achieve by 2022. So India is evolving as a developed nation day by day, and the entire global spotlight of development is now focused on India and China. What do you say?
Today India indeed has a a population, a demography, which is like a pyramid.
Yes.
And the pyramid in India is like that, and you have a big base. All these people are that young. In Europe, it's the other way around.
Yes.
And you don't have to be smart, and it's not rocket science, but you will see that this is gonna fall down.
Yes.
So that's not a good model. This is a good model.
Yes. Yes.
Now, India today is really on a turning point because it is now the baby. It's the baby boom generation, which means that in the next 20 years, this can be the most flourishing years India will ever have in its entire history. So grasp the opportunity, grasp the chances, because you have all these young people, and if they are really skilled and they can use their talents and they can do good jobs, then the country will move forward. And so that's, if you just think about Europe at the baby boom generation, and how the economy went and how flourishing the countries in Europe went in those days. So that same thing can happen with the right policies and the right mindset of people. And I wish you really good luck.
Very good. We in India, we visualize India as two India. One is Bharat, other is India. You know, we have two names. India has two names. One is Bharat, the old name. The new name is India. So there is a tussle between Bharat and India. The science or the modern science, as you see, the life of modern science is less than 500 years. The modern science, what you see in the world, its age is only less than 500 years. But before 500 years, we had a civilization in India. Like Roman civilization, Italian civilization, we have a civilization in India, and Indian civilization is one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Like Greek civilization and Rome civilization. And Rome was not built in a day, everybody knows it. So India has two parts. One is Bharat, other is India. Another point, before 1950, I divide India into two parts. After 1950 to 2019, and before 1950, we have two India. Before 1950, we had people like Sir C.V. Raman, who got Nobel Prize in Physics. Until now, the only Indian who has received Nobel Prize in Physics working in India. We had Jagdish Chandra Bose, Acharya Prof. Chandra Ray, Acharya P.C. Ray, father of Indian chemistry. We had Jagdish Chandra Bose, Prof. Chandra Ray, P.C. Mahalanobis, Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, Homi Jahangir Bhabha, all great scientific personalities. Satyendra Bose, Meghnad Saha, great physics personality, best chemistry personalities were in India. So, ages before 50, years before 50, India produced these scientific giants to the world. These giants, as I tell you them, Jagdish Saha, Satyendra Bose, Meghnad Saha, P.C. Mahalanobis, Acharya Prof. Chandra Ray, Jagdish Chandra Bose are great scientific personalities of the world. World recognized them. Satyendra Bose and Einstein, they worked together. They have Bose-Einstein statistics. There is a paper, joint paper, Satyendra Bose and Albert Einstein. Bose-Einstein paper. So these people vanished. One day they have to go. After 50, India got civilization. India got independence, 1947. So after 50, we had so many organizations. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Indian Council of Medical Research, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Indian Institute of Science, so many universities, so many scientific institutions, huge investment in R&D, research and development. But after 50, we have not produced a single scientist till today who has received Nobel Prize in any subject working in India. Though Indians have received Nobel Prize working outside India, but working inside India in Indian situations, Indian scientific situations, no Indians in no subject has been honored with Nobel Prize. But in those days, before 50, these people, even if only one man got Nobel Prize, other people, even if they didn't get Nobel Prize, but they were great scientific personalities. Everybody in the world knows Jagdish Chandra Bose, Satyendra Bose, Meghnad Saha, P.C. Mahalanobis, great persons. So we find today two India. One is Bharat, other is India. What is your opinion?
Yeah, as I see it, science is global.
Yes.
Scientific research is global, and this country, throughout the years and even before last century, has done has had really civilizations which were very well developed, as in the Western world, in Greece and in Rome, and but also in the Arab world, also in China. I think that people right here in India, scientists, Indian scientists, need to be stimulated that they can also work right here and borderless with colleagues all over the globe, because in fact the world today is a village, and also when it comes to science, it is a village, and I think it's needed that all these important scientific institutions get the possibility, and that the government is really developing a policy where these excellent and eminent researchers can work right here in their country and work here on the prosperity of the people of India.
India is flourishing. From a developing nations, we are gradually moving to a developed nation. And as I told you, 21st century is Asian century. So things are changing. But what is the future of science? What is the science of the future? Future of science and science of the future. What is your opinion?
The future of science, of course, lots of things have been developed and have been researched and have been invented, but there is far more to come. I'm not a futurist. I'm not going to make any predictions. That's not my field. What I can see is that developments which have been done, let's take an example, when the world moved from horse and carriage to the automobile, it took years and years and years. It was a huge disruption, but it took quite decades. Today, in the digital age, we are once again in disruption, but it is going at a pace and at a speed which is unprecedented. And in the years to come, we will see that, for instance, artificial intelligence will bring us possibilities, and what comes after I wouldn't know, but there will always be new things to develop, and there will always be bright minds who bring solutions to the challenges of their days. So the future of science is going on, and we will see, and after you and I won't be here anymore, the science of the future, in the near future, I truly believe in artificial intelligence as one of the big fields.
Biotechnology.
Technology will not take over, but technology will assist us more and more and more. In cars without drivers, with automatic learning systems, helping people and helping the civilization as a whole.
As you rightly told, The greatest discovery, greatest invention so far in the history of science, if you can visualize, it is wheel. Wheel, the balloon car wheel, cycle wheel, car wheel, scooter wheel, two-wheeler wheel. The wheel is the greatest discovery, greatest invention so far happened in the world of science and technology. Wheel, I agree with you. People say America is the land of opportunity, where India is the land of ideas. We have ideas, maybe we do not have capabilities for transformation of ideas into reality. So that is why there is a pool of technocrats, pool of scientists. There is a vacuum somewhere, it is being filled up somewhere. People from China, people from India, they go to USA to see that lock. So they call it land of opportunity. We are called as land of ideas. How do you analyze?
I think you could make a parallel with what a lot of people from China go and study in America, but they go back because they see that there are opportunities in their country, and now that in fact the global population of India is bigger than the one in China, so I think there are lots of opportunities opportunities right here, and that it is I think it is a duty of the decision makers right here in the country to see that and to see to it that the framework and the atmosphere is being shaped, that indeed these people see the opportunities, and after having studied abroad and after having researched abroad, come back and flourish and make the nation more flourishing.
In India, maybe in Odisha also, other states of the country, people from each and every house, practically, you will find they have a man in the America. Each and every man, every family in our country, practically, at least one person is there in America. The same case in Odisha. Only a father and mother, all their children are in America. Either in Europe, mostly in America, Japan or China. Old man, father and mother, they are sitting in a home, looking for the son. Even on the die also, son and daughter don't turn up. The situation has so happened. All old persons, ladies and gentlemen, they are living a lonely life. Their son is a great engineer, their son is a great scientist, working in NASA, working in so many engineering firms, technological firms in America. These fathers and mothers in India, they are sitting and awaiting for death. Even when they die, the son and daughters practically do not turn up. If they turn up, they come after 2, 3 days, 4 days. This is the practical situation of technology development or scientific development. The fathers and mothers are today lonely persons. Practically each and every household in India, in Odisha also, I will show you so many families, only father and mother sitting at home, their daughters and sons are outside. They do not get the care from their children. This is a situation, pathetic situation, which is a grasp in India. What is your opinion?
I don't have an opinion about it.
Yes.
I can only feel, and I can only feel sorry for that, because that's a situation which is not going well. If this is really true, that there is that many people who are living that lonely life, which also means that the demography, the pyramid of the demography is getting more and more shaped like that, and finally, if within 50 years it will be something like that then. So I'm not an expert in these things, but I really feel sorry if this is really a global situation, all over India, and also Indonesia, then I really feel sorry about it.
No, they are happy that my son is an engineer,
Yeah,
my
okay.
son is a doctor, my son is a scientist working in America. They are happy. Equally, they are unhappy because they are living a lonely life. This is the result of education, science, and technology.
In your life, you need social energy.
Yes, yes. So
And
that's the gap between this development
Yeah.
and the family.
So they don't have the social energy and the energy of the family.
Yes.
And so that's why I feel sorry about it.
Another result of technology development, I am telling you, city life is increasing and villages in the outskirts of city, migration. People migrate to cities in a large numbers for a livelihood. So the transition from village to city, not the vice versa, not from city to villages. Suppose I am an educated person, I got a job in the city. After my retirement, I settled down in the city. I never went back to my village.
Yeah.
So there is a migration, continuous migration of persons from villages to the cities.
Yeah, but this is something which is happening all over
This
the
is
globe.
happening all over the globe, and village life has changed.
Yeah.
Village life has completely changed, and there is a gap between the city life and the village life. This is, as I feel, a result of technology development, result of scientific innovation or scientific development, whatever you call it. Science and technology has removed us from our parents, from my village, from my rivers, from my trees, from my nature. I am living a aloof life. I am earning money, but I cannot earn happiness. Happiness is not marketed. You have to create happiness within you. Happiness is not marketed in the market. You will not get purchase happiness. So, technology, science and education has made you a lonely person, single person, aloof person,
I'm not
unhappy person.
I'm not agreeing.
Yes,
Agreeing
please,
on that
please,
because
please.
it's you can't just say that science and
Okay.
technology made that happen.
Okay.
Because it's about sociology.
Okay.
And it's about the social life of
Okay.
people and seeing opportunities.
Okay.
So there is far more than that.
Okay.
It's also about economic development. I do believe that science and technology can bring lots of solutions to challenges. Science and technology can also bring
Yes.
some challenges
Yes,
on its
yes,
own.
yes. I agree.
And can be
Yes.
used to the bad instead of the good. But you can't just say that the global migration from villages to cities
Yes.
is due to science and technology. That's
But science and technology is one of the reasons, may not be the only reason, but one of the reasons in search of your livelihood or for earning, for getting a job. The same scope is not available in the village. So village folk, they migrate from that village to the city. And for that migration, maybe to some extent, technology, science and education is responsible.
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there
Maybe.
is. I think it's a combination.
I am
of
not
all
telling
of-
this
of
whole
all
responsible, but it has a role to play because why such a situation has happened? Why the village is so aloof? Why a man? I have all buildings, cars, my sons and daughters are educated, but I am a lonely man. So science and technology and money and luxury has made me a lonely person in the society.
Now,
I have
luckily-
sons, doctors everywhere, all big persons in America, but I am living here as a lonely man, crying day and night, looking for my sons and daughters when they will come to my country.
And as you said,
Yes.
happiness is not for sale.
It's not for sale. It is not marketed.
Yeah.
You cannot purchase happiness. You can purchase building, you can purchase cars, you can purchase a hotel, but you can purchase happiness because
That's
it is a man. It's a concept of mind.
Yeah.
It's a concept of heart. It inherits from within yourself. It emerges from within yourself. So I feel, my personal feeling, science and technology has made you wiser, had made you rich, had you made you a technologist, has made you a scientist. But people, individual man, is a lonely man. It has made him a lonely man.
These are two completely different
Okay.
different things.
Okay.
I think these are two really
It's
completely.
a philosophy and social science play important role here. It's not the science and technology. I'm not taking science and technology sole responsible. Sociology, social status, social structure, social fabric, is gradually changing. Whether changing for a better or changing for the worse, I don't know. But social fabric is gradually breaking down, and individual person living in the society is, as I feel, my assessment of my people, I am living a lonely life. I have everything. I have sons, I have daughters, I have buildings, I have cars, I have everything.
I think you are generalizing.
No.
Generalizing.
No, I'm not generalizing.
I'm not an expert in this, so I don't think it's.
Science and technology, yes.
It's.
But social science has a role to play. I'm a man from the society. Human being, I'm a social person, society. I'm a product of the society. I have to give back to the society. I'm a product of the society. So social science, it is not chemical science, physical science, and material science. Social science has overall role to play to make you a happy person. You are extraordinary. Yes.
So one of your next interviews will be with a sociologist.
Sociologist.
Okay,
great.
Great. Thank you so much.
Can I call madam for a last? We welcome you to the land of Kalinga, land of Utkal, land of Odisha, land of Udro.
Yes.
The oldest name is Udro, U-D-R-A, Udro.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And we people in Odisha, the present name is Odisha. Prior to that it was Orissa, O-R-I-S-S-A, Orissa. Now it is Odisha, O-D-I-S-H-A.
Yes.
We welcome you. We congratulate you. We are grateful to you that you have come down to our place, the land of Kalinga, the land of peace, the land of enlightenment, where Buddha was born and Buddha got enlightenment. The entire world got Buddhism starting from the place which you saw today, from that Dholigiri place, where Kalinga war was fought, and from that war, from that blood, the river became blood, red color. There is a change in the mind of Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha was created in the land of Kalinga. From Chanda Asok, he became Dharma Asok. Asok the great warrior, great king of India, from Magad. This is Utkal, the next state was Magad, adjacent state Magad. Now it is Bihar. He invaded Kalinga, he killed practically almost all people of Kalinga, and at that time there was no king in Kalinga. Only general people fought with Asoka. At that time, when Kalinga war was there was no king in Odisha. In that Kalinga, at that time, Kalinga. So, ordinary people, general people, farmers, workers, general people, they fought with Kalinga, Asoka the Great. And subsequently he changed himself from Chanda Asok, he became a Dharma Asok and became a great king of India. And you know the Asok Chakra, the emblem of government of India, there is a chakra, Asok Chakra. You know, you have four lions, and there is center there is chakra, known as Ashoka Chakra, the government of India emblem. That Ashoka Chakra, names from the king Ashoka. And Ashoka was reborn here. He was born in Magad. At this place, this Kalinga war place, he was reborn. World saw another Ashoka. From Chanda Asok, means killer Asok, he became a Dharma Asok, pious Asok. This land changed Buddha to a great man. And he sent his son, daughter, Sanghamitra, son Kunal, to all these places, Java, Sumatra, Borneo, China, Japan, all these dharma. By Buddhism was spread, and Buddhism became a great religion at that time. Many people, many disciples from China, Japan came to Odisha at that time Kalinga. So this place is a place of peace, brotherhood, love, message. The message of love, message of peace was transmitted from this land of Kalinga to the entire world. We are peace-loving people, we are simple people, and we respect people. We honor people, we acknowledge people, we pranam people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And last question, for every successful man, there is a woman.
Well, that's what people say.
People say, and
maybe
throughout the world, this quotation, throughout the world, behind every successful person, there is a successful lady. What do you want to say? This is my last question.
I think, of course, what he has accomplished, he has done himself. From the start until where he is now, and he will continue to do so. But of course I try to support, and I try to be wherever he goes, and if I can assist him there and support him there, I'm glad. And this also, of course, gives me the opportunity to visit countries like Odisha and states and meet people that I otherwise would normally not meet. So I'm very happy to be here, and it's an honor for both of us.
Your support of love, your support of affection, that made him what he is today. Love,
partly.
Love, affection.
Yes.
It is unparalleled.
Yes.
That made a man like this. Mr. Erik, he is a great scientist, great science communicators, but you have made him. So after he got married, he got additional things from you: love, affection, tenderness, softness, sympathy, cooperation. All these things helped him to rise stage by stage, step by step, and that is what he today, what I feel, Mr. Erik Jacquemyn, whatever is today, is due to the strength of love, strength of affection, the strength of family bondage that made him what him today.
Okay, thank you.
Your last word. Your last words. Your last words.
As I said, I'm very honored to be here. We've seen wonderful things here, beautiful people, beautiful things, beautiful buildings, and I think it's a wonderful country, a wonderful big country.
Namaskar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.